Time moved on. The war was over, but its shadow stayed. Not as fear, but as memory, a reminder. The stars were no longer just empty space. They held stories now. Stories of loss, of courage, of a moment when two species chose to trust instead of fight. On the new space station Harmony, life grew slowly. It floated near Mars, built by both humans and Cathari. Its walls were white and curved, its halls wide enough for both species to walk side by side. Plants grew under soft light. Children played in low-gravity zones. Music, human and Cathari, drifted through the air, strange and beautiful. Jake Holloway visited often. He was no longer on active duty. After the battle, he asked for leave. Earth Command gave him a medal, a speech, and a long rest. He didn't want fame. He wanted peace. And time with Lily. She was older now, 15, taller than him. Her hair was long, her laugh loud. She lived on Harmony with her mother, studying science and dreaming of stars. "You never told me the real story," she said one day, as they sat by the observation window. "What story?" Jake asked. "About the Devourers, about Vrel, about how you didn't come home for 2 years." Jake smiled. "It's not a simple story." "Tell me anyway." So he did. He told her about the silence before the storm, about the alien fleet, about the moment he saw Vrel step out of that shuttle, tall and calm, carrying only words. He told her about the fear, the doubt, the way Greg kept his hand on his weapon for days. He told her about the lab where Lila and Trell worked until their hands shook, building the first gravity anchor. He told her about the battle, the darkness, the Vanguard flying into the storm, the Cathari flagship sacrificing itself, and he told her about Vrel's last words. "We are one cause." Lily listened, quietly. When he finished, she looked out at the stars. "So they came not to hurt us," she said, "but to save us?" "Yes," Jake said, "and we almost didn't believe them. Would we have survived without them?" "No," Jake said. "We wouldn't have had a chance." Lily turned to him. "Then we owe them." "We do," Jake said, "and we pay that debt not with words, but with how we live." On Harmony, life went on. Trell, the Cathari scientist, stayed. He helped build a school, not just for humans, not just for Cathari, for all. He taught young ones how to read energy waves, how to grow food in 0G, how to speak both languages. One day, a child asked him, "Why did you help us?" Trell was quiet. Then he said, "Because when my world died, no one came. No one warned us. No one fought with us. We were alone. I did not want that for you." The child nodded. "I'm glad you did." Trell placed a long hand on her shoulder. "So am I." Meanwhile, new ships were built. Faster, smarter, armed with gravity anchors and solar beams. But their mission was not war, it was watch. They patrolled the outer systems, scanning for any sign of the Devourer's return. No signal came, but they kept looking. On Earth, cities changed. Statues of old war heroes were joined by new ones. Vrel, Trell, the Cathari flagship. Schools taught the story of the Helios Gate. Children learned that bravery is not just fighting, but choosing to trust. One night, Jake walked through a park in Boston. It was quiet. Trees swayed. Fireflies blinked. A small group of kids sat in a circle telling stories. He stopped to listen. "And then," said a boy, "the Cathari ship blew up and made a black hole and sucked in the bad thing and saved everyone." "That's not how it happened," said a girl. "The Vanguard fired the last shot, with the gravity thing." "Both are true," said an older boy. "They did it together." Jake smiled and walked on. Back on Harmony, Lily started working with the science team. She helped improve the gravity anchor design, made it smaller, safer, more powerful. Lila Monroe, now an advisor, watched her with pride. You think like your dad. No, Lily said. I think like both of them, human and Cathari. Lila nodded. That's why you'll go further. One morning, Arise sent an alert. Unknown signal detected, deep space, near the Orion Void. Jake was on Harmony at the time. He met Lila and Trell in the command room. The signal played, a series of pulses. Slow, steady, not like the Devourers. Is it them? Jake asked. No, Arise said. Pattern does not match, but it is artificial, intelligent. Trell studied the data. It is a call, like the one we once made. Someone else is out there, Lily said. And they may be afraid, Jake said. They sent a reply, simple, clear, in human, Cathari, and universal code. We are here. We are not alone. If you need help, we will come. They waited. Weeks passed. Then, a response. Thank you. We are far. We are scared. We have seen the dark. Can you help? Jake looked at Lily. She smiled. Set a course, he said. Let's go meet them. This time they would not wait for war. This time they would reach out first, because they knew now. No one should face the dark alone. The Yas Vanguard, now a symbol of peace, powered up its engines. Its crew was mixed, human and Cathari, young and old, all trained, all ready, not for battle, but for hope. As the ship left Harmony and flew into the stars, a new chapter began. Not of war, but of unity. The galaxy was big. There were more worlds, more beings, more stories. And now humanity was not just a voice. It was a promise. A promise to listen, to help, to stand, and to always, always give another chance. The Galaxy Council had always been the heart of interstellar peace. For centuries, it brought together beings from different planets, species, and cultures to work toward a common goal, harmony across the stars. It was not perfect, but it was the closest thing the universe had to unity. The Council's central hub, located on a massive space station called Elysium Prime, served as the meeting ground for diplomats, scientists, and leaders. Every decision made there rippled through the galaxy, shaping trade agreements, resolving conflicts, and fostering alliances. But everything changed in an instant. It began with a routine transmission from Elysium Prime. Representatives from various species were gathered for a summit to discuss resource distribution among star systems. Earth's delegation, led by Nathan Brooks, a calm and capable officer from the Unified Space Command, had joined remotely from their lunar outpost. Nathan sat at his desk reviewing reports while keeping one ear on the live feed from the Council. Chambers. The discussions were tense but productive, until the signal cut out abruptly. At first, Nathan thought it was a technical glitch. Such things happened occasionally, especially given the vast distances involved in interstellar communication. But moments later, alarms blared across the outpost. Emergency alerts flashed on every screen, warning of catastrophic events unfolding. At Elysium Prime, Nathan's heart sank as he scrambled to piece together what was happening. "Rachel!" he called out, his voice sharp with urgency. Rachel Myers, his trusted advisor and friend, rushed into the room. Her dark hair was tied back neatly, though her face betrayed the same concern that gripped Nathan. "What's going on?" she asked, her eyes darting to the monitors displaying chaotic images. "I don't know yet," Nathan replied, tapping furiously at his console. "All channels are down. I can't get any clear visuals or data streams." He paused, his brow furrowed. "Something big just went wrong at Elysium Prime." As they worked to restore the connection, fragmented reports trickled in from other human outposts scattered throughout the solar system. Each report painted a more alarming picture than the last. Witnesses spoke of explosions rocking the space station, sending debris spiraling into the void. Others described panicked evacuations as emergency pods launched in all directions. Some claimed to have seen alien ships firing upon the station, while others insisted it was an internal malfunction. Nathan clenched his fists tightly. Without reliable information, it was impossible to determine whether this was an accident, an act of sabotage, or an outright attack. And without knowing the cause, humanity was vulnerable. "We need to shut everything down," Nathan said suddenly. His tone firm and resolute. Rachel stared at him, startled. "What do you mean?" "All communication channels, every single one. We can't risk exposing ourselves until we know what's really going on." Rachel hesitated, her mind racing. Cutting off contact with the rest of the galaxy was an extreme measure. It would leave humanity isolated, cut off from allies and resources. Yet she understood Nathan's logic. If hostile forces were behind the collapse of the Council, humanity needed time to prepare, and staying connected could make them an easy target. "Do you think it's that serious?" she asked quietly. "I don't know," Nathan admitted, "but I'm not willing to gamble with billions of lives. Not until we have answers." With a heavy heart, Rachel nodded. Together, they initiated protocols to sever all ties with non-human entities. Across Earth and its colonies, communication arrays powered down, diplomatic missions halted, and trade routes closed. Humanity went silent, retreating behind a wall of radio silence. The decision sent shockwaves through society. News outlets buzzed with speculation, filling the vacuum of official information with rumors and conspiracy theories. Some believed humanity was under siege by alien invaders. Others accused the government of orchestrating the blackout to consolidate power. Protests erupted in major cities, demanding answers and action. Amid the chaos, Nathan struggled to maintain order. As head of the Unified Space Command, he bore the weight of responsibility for humanity's survival. He spent long hours in meetings with military leaders, strategists, and scientists, trying to anticipate every possible scenario. Sleep became a luxury he could no longer afford. Rachel stayed by his side, offering support and counsel whenever she could. She admired Nathan's dedication, but worried about the toll it was taking on him. His once steady demeanor showed cracks, revealing glimpses of doubt and exhaustion beneath the surface. "You can't carry this alone," she told him one evening, as they reviewed intelligence reports in his office. "I don't have a choice," Nathan replied, leaning back in his chair. "If I falter, so does everyone else." "That's not true," Rachel countered gently. "You have people who believe in you, including me. Let us help shoulder the burden." For a moment, Nathan allowed himself to relax, letting Rachel's words sink in. He knew she was right. Leading humanity through this crisis required more than just strength. It required trust in others and in himself. Despite the challenges, Nathan remained steadfast in his resolve. Humanity had survived countless trials throughout history, from natural disasters to wars. This was no different. They would endure, adapt, and emerge stronger. As days turned into weeks, the galaxy grew eerily quiet. Without updates from Elysium Prime or other alien civilizations, humanity found itself adrift in uncertainty. Questions lingered unanswered. What had caused the collapse? Who stood to gain from it? And most importantly, what came next? For now, Nathan focused on preparation. He ordered upgrades to Earth's defense systems, stockpiled essential resources, and trained military units for potential conflicts. At the same time, he authorized covert missions to gather intelligence on the state of the galaxy. Every piece of information mattered, no matter how small. Rachel accompanied him on many of these endeavors, using her expertise in diplomacy to analyze political dynamics and predict outcomes. She also served as a sounding board for Nathan's ideas, challenging him when necessary and encouraging him when morale wavered. Their partnership proved invaluable during those uncertain times. While fear and suspicion spread among the population, Nathan and Rachel worked tirelessly to keep humanity united. They reminded people of their shared values, resilience, ingenuity, and hope, and urged them to look beyond immediate hardships toward a brighter future. Yet, even as they labored to secure humanity's position, questions haunted them both. Had they made the right choice by isolating themselves? Would reopening channels bring salvation or destruction? Only time would tell. For now, humanity waited, watching the stars in silence. Weeks passed, and the silence stretched on. Humanity's decision to sever all communication with the galaxy weighed heavily on everyone. The initial shock of isolation had faded, but in its place came a growing sense of unease. People began to wonder if they had made the right choice. Was it safer to remain hidden, or were they cutting themselves off from potential allies who might help them survive? Nathan Brooks spent most of his days buried in work. As the leader of the Unified Space Command, he was responsible for keeping humanity safe during this uncertain time. He reviewed reports, coordinated defense strategies, and monitored Earth's borders for any signs of trouble. But no matter how busy he kept himself, the doubts lingered in the back of his mind. Had he acted too hastily? Could humanity have handled the situation differently? Rachel Myers noticed the toll it was taking on him. She saw the dark circles under his eyes, the tension in his shoulders, and the way he sometimes stared out into space, lost in thought. Rachel tried to reassure him whenever she could, reminding him that he had done what he believed was best. Still, she couldn't shake her own concerns about their current path. "Nathan," she said one evening as they sat together in his office aboard the orbital command station, "do you think we're doing the right thing?" Nathan looked up from the stack of papers he had been reading. "What do you mean?" "I mean, staying isolated like this. It feels like we're suffocating ourselves. We've cut off trade, diplomacy, everything. What happens when resources start running low, or when medical supplies dwindle? We can't sustain this forever." Nathan sighed deeply, leaning back in his chair. "I know it's not ideal, Rachel, but opening channels now could be dangerous. We don't know who or what is out there. For all we know, the collapse of the Council was orchestrated by someone who wants to see us fail." "But what if it wasn't?" Rachel pressed. "What if the collapse was an accident or something else entirely? By staying silent, we're giving up our chance to find out." Nathan didn't answer right away. He knew Rachel had a point. The longer they remained isolated, the more vulnerable they became. Without access to new technologies, medicines, or food supplies, humanity risked falling behind. Yet, the thought of reaching out blindly filled him with dread. What if their message was intercepted by hostile forces? What if they exposed themselves to danger? "We need more time," Nathan finally said. "Time to figure out what caused the collapse and who's behind it. Once we have answers, we can decide our next move." Rachel nodded reluctantly. She understood his reasoning, but she couldn't ignore the growing unrest among the population. Protests continued across the globe, with people demanding answers and action. Some accused the government of overreacting, while others claimed humanity was abandoning its role in the galaxy. The pressure was mounting, and Nathan knew it wouldn't be long before he had to address it. In the meantime, strange things began happening. Reports trickled in from remote outposts and colonies about unusual activity near Earth's borders. Ships moving erratically, unidentified signals bouncing off satellites, and even sightings of alien vessels lurking just beyond sensor range. None of these incidents were confirmed, but they added to the anxiety gripping humanity. One night, Nathan received an urgent call from Alex Carter, a young engineer stationed at a research facility on Mars. Alex was known for his brilliance and resourcefulness, but also for his tendency to jump to conclusions. Still, Nathan listened carefully as Alex explained what he had discovered. "Sir, we've detected something odd," Alex said, his voice tense. "It's a pattern in the energy readings around our base. At first we thought it was interference from solar flares, but it's too consistent. Someone, or something is probing our defenses. Nathan frowned. Are you sure about this? Yes, sir. We've run multiple scans, and the pattern keeps repeating. It's like they're testing us, seeing how we'll react. Nathan thanked Alex for the report and promised to look into it further. After ending the call, he turned to Rachel, who had been listening intently. What do you think? He asked. It could be nothing, Rachel replied. But given everything else that's been happening, I don't think we should ignore it. Nathan agreed. He ordered additional patrols around Earth's borders and increased surveillance on all nearby space stations. If someone was watching, them. He wanted to be ready. As the days went by, the tension only grew. Rumors spread faster than ever, fueled by fear and uncertainty. Some claimed alien invaders were preparing to attack, while others whispered about traitors within humanity itself. Theories ranged from plausible to absurd, but one thing was clear. People were scared. Amid the chaos, Nathan found himself reflecting on the choices that had led them here. When the council collapsed, he had acted quickly to protect humanity. But now he wondered if his actions had gone too far. By cutting off contact with the galaxy, had he inadvertently weakened humanity's position? Rachel sensed his internal struggle and decided to take matters into her own hands. She began reaching out to trusted colleagues and advisors, gathering information and opinions. She wanted to understand the full scope of their situation before making any recommendations to Nathan. One person she spoke with was Claire Bennett, a seasoned pilot who had served alongside Nathan for years. Claire was pragmatic and level-headed, qualities that made her insights invaluable. What do you think we should do? Rachel asked during one of their meetings. Claire thought for a moment before responding. We can't stay isolated forever. Eventually we'll need to reconnect with the galaxy whether we like it or not, but we can't rush into it blindly either. We need proof that it's safe, or at least safer than staying hidden. Rachel nodded. That was the challenge they faced, finding a balance between caution and progress. They needed to gather more information without putting humanity at risk. Determined to make a difference, Rachel proposed a bold idea to Nathan. Let's send a small team to investigate the anomalies near our borders, she suggested. If someone is probing us, we need to know who they are and what they want. Nathan hesitated. Sending a team outside Earth's protection was risky, especially given their current state of isolation. But he also recognized the value of gathering intelligence. If they could learn more about the threats, or lack thereof, they would be better equipped to make informed decisions. After much deliberation, Nathan agreed to Rachel's plan. He assembled a team consisting of Alex Carter, Claire Bennett, and a few other trusted individuals. Their mission was simple: scout the area near Earth's borders, collect data, and return safely. As the team prepared for their departure, Nathan pulled Rachel aside. Be careful, he said, his voice heavy with concern. I'm counting on you to bring them back in one piece. Rachel smiled reassuringly. Don't worry. We'll get the answers we need, and we'll come home. With that, the team launched into space, leaving behind a planet gripped by fear and uncertainty. Their journey would take them closer to the edge of human territory than anyone had ventured since the blackout. Along the way, they encountered challenges both expected and unforeseen, each step bringing them closer to understanding the truth about the galaxy's collapse. For Nathan and those left behind, the wait was agonizing. Every hour felt like an eternity as they monitored the team's progress from afar. Would they uncover the answers humanity so desperately needed? Or would they stumble upon dangers they couldn't anticipate? Only time would tell. The team's journey into the unknown began with a mixture of excitement and unease. Rachel Myers, Alex Carter, Claire Bennett, and two other crew members, Logan Hayes, a skilled medic, and Elena Torres, a communications expert, boarded a small reconnaissance vessel called the Odyssey. It was a compact but highly advanced ship, designed for stealth and quick maneuvers in hostile environments. As they left Earth's orbit behind, the vastness of space stretched out before them. The silence outside was deafening, broken only by the soft hum of the ship's engines. Rachel stood at the front of the cockpit, staring out at the stars. She couldn't help but feel a pang of guilt for leaving Nathan and the rest of humanity behind. Yet she knew this mission was necessary. If they failed to uncover the truth, humanity might never recover from its self-imposed exile. For days, the Odyssey traveled through empty stretches of space, scanning for any signs of activity near Earth's borders. The first few days were uneventful, filled with routine checks and quiet conversations among the crew. But as they approached the edge of human territory, things began to change. Late one night, while most of the crew slept, Elena noticed something unusual on her monitors. "Rachel," she whispered, her voice tense. "You need to see this." Rachel hurried over to Elena's station and peered at the screen. A faint signal blinked intermittently, barely detectable against the background noise of space. It wasn't coming from Earth or any known human outpost. It seemed to be originating from deep within uncharted territory. "Can you trace it?" Rachel asked. Elena nodded and began working quickly. After a few minutes, she looked up. "It's weak, but I think I've got a fix on its location. It's about 3 days' travel from here." Rachel exchanged a glance with Claire, who had joined them in the cockpit. "Do we investigate?" Claire hesitated, then nodded. "We came out here for answers. This could be our chance to find some." With that decision made, the Odyssey adjusted its course and headed toward the source of the signal. The closer they got, the stronger the signal became. By the second day, it was clear that it wasn't random interference. It was deliberate, repeating in a pattern that suggested intelligence behind it. On the third day, they finally arrived at their destination. What they found took their breath away. Drifting silently in the void was an ancient spacecraft, its surface scarred by time and wear. Its design was unlike anything they had ever seen, a strange blend of human and alien technology. "That's impossible," Alex muttered, his eyes wide with disbelief. "How does it look like both ours and theirs?" No one had an answer. The ship appeared abandoned, its systems dormant, but the signal continued to emanate from within, drawing them closer. After securing the Odyssey alongside the mysterious vessel, the team prepared to board. Armed with scanners and tools, they entered cautiously, unsure of what they might encounter. The interior was dimly lit, with walls covered in strange symbols and patterns. Some resembled ancient human languages, while others were clearly alien. "In origin—" "This place gives me the creeps," Logan admitted, his hand resting on the medical kit slung over his shoulder. "Stay sharp," Rachel instructed. "We don't know what we're dealing with." They moved deeper into the ship, following the signal to a central chamber. Inside, they discovered a console glowing faintly, surrounded by rows of data crystals. Elena approached it carefully. "Examining the interface. I think I can access the data," she said, "but it'll take some time to decode." While Elena worked, the others explored the chamber. Alex inspected the walls, running his fingers over the intricate carvings. "This feels familiar," he murmured. "Like I've seen these designs somewhere before." Claire kept watch near the entrance, her weapon drawn. Despite the eerie stillness, she couldn't shake the feeling that they weren't alone. Every shadow seemed to shift slightly. Every sound echoed louder than it should have. Hours passed as Elena pieced together fragments of information stored on the data crystals. Finally, she turned to the group, her face pale. "I think I know what happened to the Galaxy Council." Everyone gathered around as Elena explained. The data logs revealed a chilling truth. The collapse of the Council hadn't been an accident or an external attack. Instead, It had been orchestrated by a rogue faction of humans dissatisfied with the Council's policies. These individuals believed humanity was being held back by its alliances with alien species and sought to force a separation. They wanted us to isolate ourselves, Elena continued, to turn inward and focus on our own survival. Rachel felt a chill run down her spine. But why go to such extremes? Why destroy the Council? Elena hesitated, then showed them another set of logs. These detailed warnings about a looming threat, an ancient alien empire that had lain dormant for millennia. According to the logs, this empire viewed humanity as a dangerous upstart species that needed to be eradicated. The rogue faction believed collapsing the Council would buy humanity time to prepare for the inevitable war. "This is insane," Logan said, shaking his head. "Who gave them the right to decide our fate?" No one had an answer. The revelation left them stunned, grappling with the implications of what they had uncovered. Humanity's isolation hadn't been a choice made freely. It had been forced upon them by those who thought they knew better. "We need to get this information back to Nathan," Rachel said firmly. "He needs to know the truth." The team agreed, but as they prepared to leave, Claire spotted movement out of the corner of her eye. "Did anyone else see that?" she asked sharply. Before anyone could respond, a low growl echoed through the chamber. Shadows shifted, coalescing into forms that emerged from the darkness. They weren't human or entirely alien. Their features were twisted, a grotesque fusion of organic and mechanical parts. "Back to the ship!" Rachel shouted. The team sprinted toward the exit, pursued by the strange creatures. Shots rang out as Claire fired her weapon, trying to hold them off. Back aboard the Odyssey, they sealed the hatch just in time, narrowly escaping as the creatures clawed at the hull, once safely. Away from the derelict ship, Rachel contacted Nathan, her voice trembling with urgency. "We found something, Nathan. Something big. You need to hear this." Nathan listened intently as Rachel relayed everything they had learned. When she finished, there was a long pause on the other end of the line. Finally, he spoke. "You did good, Rachel. Now come home. We'll figure out what to do next." As the Odyssey raced back toward Earth, the weight of their discovery settled heavily on the crew. The Galaxy Council may have collapsed, but the fight for humanity's future was far from over. And now, armed with knowledge of the rogue faction and the ancient empire, they would have to decide how to move forward. Would humanity remain isolated, fortifying itself against the coming storm, or would they reach out to former allies, risking everything to rebuild the shattered Council and face the threat together? Only time would tell. When the Odyssey returned to Earth, Rachel and her team were greeted with a mix of relief and urgency. Nathan Brooks wasted no time in calling an emergency meeting at the orbital command station. The room was filled with key figures from the Unified Space Command, military leaders, scientists, and advisors. Everyone listened intently as Rachel recounted the events of their mission, sharing every detail about the mysterious ship, the rogue faction, and the ancient alien empire. As she spoke, the atmosphere grew heavier. The revelation that humanity's isolation had been orchestrated by its own kind shocked everyone. Some expressed anger, others disbelief, but most felt a deep sense of betrayal. How could a group of humans sabotage something so vital to interstellar peace? And for what purpose? To prepare for a war they weren't even sure would happen. Nathan sat quietly through the briefing, his face unreadable. When Rachel finished, he leaned forward, resting his elbows on the table. "This changes everything," he said finally. "We thought we were protecting ourselves, but all this time, we've been playing into someone else's plan." Rachel nodded. "We can't stay isolated anymore, Nathan. If there's a threat out there, and if the rogue faction was right about it, we need allies. We can't face this alone." Her words sparked a heated debate among the group. Some argued that reopening communication channels would expose humanity to danger, while others agreed with Rachel, believing unity was their best chance at survival. The discussion dragged on for hours, with no clear consensus emerging. Finally, Nathan raised his hand to silence the room. "Enough," he said firmly. "Arguing won't solve anything. Here's what we know. The Galaxy Council is gone, and humanity has been cut off for too long. Whether the rogue faction's fears are justified or not, staying hidden isn't working. People are scared, resources are dwindling, and tensions are rising. We need answers, and we need help." He paused, looking around the room. "I'm reopening channels, not blindly, but carefully. We'll reach out to former allies, share what we've learned, and offer our support in rebuilding the Council. It's a risk, but it's one we have to take." The decision wasn't unanimous, but most agreed it was the only way forward. Over the next few days, teams worked tirelessly to re-establish contact with alien civilizations. Messages were sent, via encrypted signals, explaining humanity's situation and requesting dialogue. At first, there was no response. Days turned into weeks, and hope began to fade. Then one morning, a reply came. It was brief and cautious, but it was enough to reignite optimism. A representative from the Vryn, a species known for their diplomatic skills, agreed to meet with humanity. They proposed a neutral location for talks, a desolate moon orbiting a gas giant far from any inhabited worlds. Nathan accepted immediately, knowing this was their chance to rebuild trust. Preparations for the meeting were intense. Security measures were tightened, protocols reviewed, and contingencies planned. Nathan selected a small delegation to attend, including Rachel, who had first-hand knowledge of the rogue faction's actions, and Alex, whose technical expertise might prove useful during negotiations. On the day of the meeting, the delegation boarded a sleek transport vessel and set course for the designated moon. As they approached, they saw the Vryn's ship already waiting, an elegant craft with smooth curves and shimmering surfaces that reflected the light of nearby stars. The meeting took place in a temporary structure erected on the barren surface of the moon. Inside, the air was tense but respectful. The Vryn representative introduced himself as Kael'thar, a tall, slender being with iridescent skin and wide, expressive eyes. His voice, translated through a device, carried a tone of measured calm. "Your message surprised us," Kael'thar began. "After so long without contact, we assumed humanity had chosen to abandon the galaxy." Nathan shook his head. "That wasn't our choice. Our isolation was forced upon us. We're here because we want to make things right, to work together again." Kael'thar studied him carefully before nodding. "We suspected as much. Many of us questioned why you would sever ties so abruptly. But tell me, why now? What has changed?" Rachel stepped forward, taking a deep breath. "We discovered the truth behind the collapse of the Galaxy Council. A rogue faction within humanity orchestrated it, believing isolation would protect us from a greater threat. They feared an ancient alien empire long dormant is awakening and views humanity as a target." Kael'thar's expression shifted subtly, a flicker of concern passing over his features. "This matches rumors we've heard," he admitted. "Whispers of unrest in distant regions of space. If these reports are true, then cooperation is more important than ever." Over the next several hours, the two sides exchanged information. Humanity shared the data recovered from the derelict ship, while the Vryn provided updates on movements near their borders. Both parties agreed that rebuilding the Council, or at least forming a new coalition, was essential to facing the coming threat. By the end of the meeting, tentative agreements had been reached. The Vryn promised to rally other species to join discussions, while humanity committed to sending envoys to future summits. It was a fragile beginning, but it was progress. Back on Earth, news of the meeting spread quickly. For the first time in months, people felt a glimmer of hope. Protests quieted and public support for Nathan's leadership grew. Still, challenges remained. Not all alien species welcomed humanity's return with open arms. Some viewed them with suspicion, accusing them of cowardice for abandoning the Council in its time of need. Others outright refused to engage, preferring to focus on their own survival. Despite these obstacles, Nathan pressed on. He authorized additional missions to reconnect with old allies and establish new ones. Slowly, alliances began to form once again. Trade routes reopened, scientific collaborations resumed, and joint defense initiatives were proposed. Rachel played a key role in these efforts, traveling between planets and stations to negotiate terms and build relationships. Her calm demeanor and diplomatic skills earned her respect among both humans and aliens alike. She often found herself reflecting on how far they had come since the collapse of the Council. The road ahead was still uncertain, but humanity was no longer alone. Meanwhile, Alex and his team worked tirelessly to upgrade Earth's technology using insights gained from their encounters with alien species. Advances in energy systems, medical treatments, and communication networks gave humanity a much-needed edge. Yet Alex couldn't shake the feeling that they were running out of time. One evening, as he analyzed data from recent patrols, he noticed something troubling. Strange readings had been detected near the outer edges of human territory, patterns similar to those recorded during the team's earlier mission. He brought the findings to Nathan immediately. "These patterns match the ones we saw near the derelict ship," Alex explained. "Whatever's out there, it's getting closer." Nathan frowned, his jaw tightening. "How close?" "Too close," Alex replied grimly. "If they're hostile, we may not have long before they reach us." The news cast a shadow over their progress. While humanity had taken steps toward unity, the looming threat of the ancient empire weighed heavily on everyone's minds. Nathan called another meeting, this time focused on defense strategies. "We've made strides in rebuilding alliances," he told the group. "But we can't afford to be complacent. If the rogue faction was right about the Empire, we need to prepare for war." Plans were drawn up to fortify Earth's borders, deploy early warning systems, and train military units for large-scale conflicts. Supplies were stockpiled, and evacuation protocols were updated. Every precaution was taken to ensure humanity's survival. Yet amidst the preparations, a question lingered in the back of everyone's minds. Was the Empire real, or had the rogue faction exaggerated the threat to justify their actions? Only time would tell. For now, humanity stood united, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. The Galaxy Council may have collapsed, but its legacy lived on in the determination of those who sought to rebuild it. Together they would confront the darkness and fight for a brighter future. This part sets the stage for the final act, where humanity must decide whether to stand with its allies against the ancient empire or face the threat alone. The galaxy had always been a vast and quiet place, filled with stars, planets, and countless mysteries. For centuries, different civilizations lived in their own corners of space, rarely crossing paths. When they did meet, it was often with caution, trading goods or knowledge but keeping their distance. Peace was fragile, held together by treaties and mutual distrust. But all of that changed on an ordinary day when something extraordinary appeared. It happened near the edge of the Andromeda arm, a region of space mostly ignored because it was so far from the core worlds. A shimmering object emerged from nowhere, catching the attention of every nearby ship and station. At first glance, it looked like a star, bright and glowing against the blackness of space. But as it moved closer, its true size became clear. It wasn't a star at all, it was a ship. And not just any ship. This one was enormous, bigger than anything anyone had ever seen before. The vessel stretched across kilometers of space, its surface gleaming with an iridescent sheen. The light reflected off its hull in strange patterns, almost like waves rippling across water. No one could figure out what material it was made of. It seemed to change color depending on how you looked at it. There were no visible weapons or engines, yet it moved smoothly through space as if defying the laws of physics. Etched into its side, bold letters spelled out its name: Odyssey Prime. Commander Rachel Hayes stood on the observation deck of her cruiser, staring at the massive ship through the thick glass window. Her heart raced as she tried to make sense of what she was seeing. She had spent years exploring the galaxy, encountering dozens of alien species and their technology, but nothing compared to this. It was beyond anything she could have imagined. The ship didn't belong to any known civilization. So who or what did it belong to? Her crew buzzed around her, voices overlapping in excitement and fear. Some whispered about ancient legends, of gods traveling among the stars. Others speculated it might be some kind of alien weapon sent to destroy them all. Rachel kept her thoughts to herself, studying the ship carefully. Despite its beauty, there was something unsettling about it. Something about the way it loomed silently in the void felt wrong. "Commander, we're picking up a signal," said Lieutenant Daniel Harper, her second in command. He adjusted his headset, listening intently. "It's coming from the ship." Rachel turned to him sharply. "What does it say?" Daniel hesitated, then replied, "It's audio only. Someone is trying to communicate." Moments later, the message played over the cruiser's speakers. A deep, calm voice filled the room. "This is Captain William Carter of Odyssey Prime. We are here to establish contact and extend humanity's reach across the stars." Rachel froze. Humanity. That word hit her like a punch to the gut. Earth hadn't ventured beyond its solar system in generations. The last time humans attempted interstellar travel, it ended in disaster. Most people believed Earth had given up on space exploration entirely, focusing instead on rebuilding their damaged planet. Yet here was a ship claiming to represent humanity, appearing out of nowhere with technology far beyond anything anyone else possessed. "What do they mean, extend humanity's reach?" muttered one of the crew members nervously. "Are they planning to take over?" Rachel shook her head. "We don't know anything yet. Stay calm." But inside, her mind was racing. Why would Earth send such a powerful ship without warning? Who was this Captain Carter, and why now, after all these years? The message repeated itself, echoing through the ship. Rachel ordered her communications officer to respond. "This is Commander Rachel Hayes of the Galactic Coalition cruiser Artemis. Identify your intentions and purpose." There was a long pause before the voice returned. "Our intentions are peaceful. We seek to reconnect with our allies and explore new frontiers. Request permission to dock at the nearest orbital station for further discussion." Rachel frowned. Allies? What allies? Earth hadn't formed alliances with other species in centuries. Still, refusing to let them dock would look suspicious and possibly provoke them. After consulting briefly with her senior officers, she gave the order to allow Odyssey Prime to approach. As the Titan-class ship moved closer, Rachel couldn't help but feel uneasy. Its sheer size made her cruiser look like a speck in comparison. Even more unsettling was the silence surrounding it. Most ships emitted some kind of noise, engines humming, systems whirring, but Odyssey Prime was completely quiet. It glided through space as if it didn't need engines at all. When the docking procedure was complete, Rachel prepared to meet Captain Carter face to face. She chose a small team to accompany her, including Daniel, who insisted on coming along despite her objections. "You'll need someone watching your back," he said firmly. Reluctantly, she agreed. The airlock hissed open, and a group of figures stepped out. They wore sleek uniforms unlike anything Rachel had seen before, adorned with insignias that marked them as members of Earth's military. Leading them was a tall man with sharp features and piercing blue eyes. His stance radiated authority, and his expression was unreadable. "This was Captain William Carter. Commander Hayes," he said, extending a hand. His grip was firm, almost too strong. "Thank you for allowing us to dock. I trust you have questions." Rachel nodded. Many. Starting with why Earth has suddenly decided to re-enter interstellar politics after centuries of isolation. Carter smiled faintly. "It's a long story. Perhaps we can discuss it over dinner." Despite his polite tone, Rachel sensed there was more to him than met the eye. His words were measured, careful, as though he was choosing each one deliberately. She glanced at Daniel, who gave her a subtle nod. They weren't going to get answers easily. Over the next few hours, Carter explained how Earth had undergone a technological revolution. According to him, scientists had discovered remnants of an ancient civilization buried beneath Antarctica. These artifacts contained knowledge far beyond modern understanding, unlocking secrets of faster-than-light travel, energy manipulation, and advanced materials science. With this newfound power, Earth had built Odyssey Prime and several other ships like it, intending to explore the galaxy and reunite with distant colonies, but there were gaps in his story. He avoided answering specific questions about Earth's current state or how many ships they had. When pressed, his smile never wavered, but his eyes hardened slightly. Rachel noticed these details, filing them away for later analysis. By the end of the meeting, one thing was clear. Captain Carter and his crew represented a new force in the galaxy, one that could tip the balance of power in ways no one could predict. As Rachel left the orbital station and returned to her cruiser, she couldn't shake the feeling that this encounter was only the beginning. Whatever lay ahead, the galaxy would never be the same again.